All right, well, sometimes you want to go just a little bit further than a standard red dot can take you. So for that reason, you turn to something like an LPVO like this. Now this one is the new SLX from Primary Arms in 1:6x24. But these are really cool because they have their built-in ACSS Aurora reticles that really just do all the work for you. So I went ahead and slapped it on my BG Defense Type A right here because it's a 13.9-inch barrel. And I just wanted to have some fun with it at a little bit longer ranges and see what it was capable of. Now, if you don't know who Primary Arms is, they literally make the easiest and coolest reticles in the game, taking all the guesswork out of it for people like me who have limited long range skills, but dangerous desire to shoot at longer distances. All right, now if you don't know what an LPVO is, right? It is a scope, but it's a specific version of a scope. It's usually in the lower power spectrum of magnified optics. So this one specifically here is the 1-6. So from 1 power up to 6. And you can get them from 1 to 4, 1 to 6, 1 to 10. And that's, I think, where they pretty much stop. I don't think anyone's going over 10 right now. But they give you the opportunity to not only do some good up close work, but you can also spin the magnification up with that included throw lever on there and reach out to much further distances far easier than trying to use a red dot and holding over. Now my Type A specifically here from BG Defense is a 13.9-inch barrel, which is not technically optimal for longer distances, but it's quite capable. So I shot this from everything from 15 feet for some up close work out to 600 yards that day, which is all I had. Now, was I able to effectively hit 9 out of 10 times at 600 yards? We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But as far as the range performance goes on this one is specifically dialed for 5.56 and 308 with their Aurora meter reticles. So you need to zero this thing at 50 meters. And that reticle in there just really makes your life very easy. When it comes to the up close work, everything inside of like 50 yards, you can really pretty much get as fast with an LPVO as you can a red dot if you practice and use it a lot. Now, I'm not nearly as fast with a red dot and an LPVO, but other guys out there that run them dedicated definitely are. The magnification spectrum on this from 1 to 6 was very crisp, and the glass is really what you would expect out of something in this price point. It's not that PLX Premier line, but it's definitely good for the money. The chevron reticle in here is daylight bright, so no need to worry about washing out or losing that when you're on a target, even in the Arizona bright sun and that desert that is extremely reflective. The magnification ring on here is smooth, and the included throw lever and pop-up lens caps are definitely nice to have, especially for windy and dusty conditions when you want to cover that glass. Now, I took this out from staged targets at 100, 300, 400, and 600 yards. But those further targets were up on elevation. Due to the distance and the vegetation where I'm at, I just didn't have the ability to get straight shots out past 300 yards. That did play a little bit of an effect in how I was shooting out there that day. But quite honestly, out to 300 yards, this optic is super easy. Now, once you start getting to 400 yards and beyond, you have to pay a little bit more attention to your skills and your trigger press and your breathing and all that, because you start to notice, at least I do, a lot more wobble right around that 400, 500 yard mark. And I think that's pretty common with most of us. And for my steel targets specifically, they're only 12 inches wide and 20 inches tall. So that's not a big target, but thank God they were that small because I did not want to ruck anything heavier up the side of that hill anymore. So inside of the 400, it was pretty good to go. Once I got to the 600, I got a little messy with my fundamentals. I ambushed the trigger a few times, slapped it a little too hard, and I did throw several rounds, but it happens. Again, I'm not the best long-range shooter out there, which is why I will be going to more classes. However, people with more patience and skill that aren't going to ambush the trigger like I did would probably shoot this 100%. I know Dimitri over at Primary, I think he's taken this thing out to 800 yards, which I could definitely see him doing because he puts a lot of time in behind magnified optics. So other than me and my basic skill set when it comes to longer distances, if you even consider 600 yards longer distances, because some people don't, the thing performed absolutely great. Now, I did notice a couple of things about this that I kind of figured were going to be present, having tested all the different magnified optics I have over the past several years and just in my life in general, which are pretty common, like I said, at the price point. We're going to go over those when we talk about the specs. If you guys like seeing videos like this, or you find value, entertainment, or you like just getting information from an unbiased source on things that you might be interested in getting yourself, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's going to do a few things. One, it's going to make sure you don't miss any videos and information you might want. It's also going to let you know in case there's any sales or new drops on things coming. And then finally, it will trigger the YouTube algorithm. And I think many of you like triggering that algorithm to push the video to other people, some of which maybe have never seen or are not comfortable around 2A content before. And it might help win some of those people over, which just kind of helps us all in the end. Let's go ahead and go over the basic specs on this new primary arms LPVO. This one, again, the magnification is going to be 1:6, and it's going to be that 24 objective end out there. It will come in at 10.4 inches long, weighing 17.9 ounces. Has their BDC Aurora reticle, which is super easy to use with that daylight bright chevron for the up close work. Your total adjustment here is going to be listed from them on the website as 120 MOA of total adjustment, but your actual adjustments on there are going to be 0.1 or 1/10 of a mil with resettable turrets. You get a total of 11 brightness settings on the adjustment knob, and it is night vision capable. So for my people that need all the specs, that full spec army out there, here you go. All right, so what were those things that I noticed about this primary LPVO that I said were very common at this price point? The first one there is going to be that throw lever. So if you leave this in the safe for like a couple weeks, it seems to be that the ring on there gets very, very stiff, and then it loosens up once you work it about 5 or 6 times. Now, I don't know if that has to do with maybe the O-rings that are in there for sealing or the mechanism or whatever lubrication they're using on that mechanism in there. If you do, definitely let us know in the comments, but it just seems to be very common with LPVOs and scopes in the more budget-friendly market where that magnification ring does not spin as freely and as smoothly without being worked all the time. Once you get into like the $1,000 mark, it seems to be that everything just works beautifully all the time. But again, definitely a different price point on this one. Now, the other thing I did notice about this is as I was looking through this out on the range, I noticed a little bit of difference in the color. So what do I mean by that? Basically, it seems to be very common, again, when you get into LPVOs or scopes that are under like a $700, maybe $800 price point, that the colors aren't perfect. They almost seem a little bit hued to the brown or to the green, at least to my eye. And that's just extremely common when it comes to more budget-friendly LPVOs. Now, once you start getting into stuff like their PLX line, something like a Nightforce NX8, those are absolutely beautiful and crisp and clear. But when you're not getting that glass in things like this because you don't want to spend $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 or $1,800 on a scope, that's just something you'll probably notice as well, but it is extremely slight. So other than me slapping the crap out of the trigger on this thing at 700 yards, this new SLX 1:6 from Primary performed absolutely great. And it's pretty much what I would expect coming in at that $339 price point. So my final thoughts here are, you really get a lot of value when it comes to primary arms. They've got some of the best reticles in the game, at least they do in my opinion. You're getting a daylight bright chevron to use for the up close work, so you don't have to worry about your target washing out into that red dot, and it only comes in red if I didn't say that. Plus you get that lifetime warranty that Primary gives you, and for $339, I don't think you're gonna get much better. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Keep doing it out on the range, and remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. I will see you all on the next one.